Good morning, good morning, good morning. I had this request, so I'm including this in here about tapping for a cancer caregiver anxiety. So I'm going to make this kind of general to being a caregiver. And I think in our culture, there's a lot of guilt that we end up feeling around caregiving and doing that. And if we don't do it, something's wrong with us. And if we would say no to it, there's a problem. And I think many of us, we might start out doing it because we genuinely want to. And maybe not. Maybe we feel out of obligation. But if we genuinely want to, but then you get into the caregiving activity and you realize it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And I've had a couple situations in my life. I'm very fortunate. My sisters and I are very fortunate that our oldest sister, Mary, had such great care. She passed away 3 years ago yesterday, but she had such great care. She was in a group home. It's a long story about her journey because she was actually born normal. But like towards the end of her life, I knew she was in a facility, so she had that 24-hour care, but I just knew I had to go there and be with her. And so I spent a lot of time going back and forth that last year of her life. And I was so grateful to be able to do it. But it's a lot. And I wasn't even doing the 24/7 care whatsoever. And then we had my mother-in-law with us for 6 weeks. And it's a lot with dementia and that. And I was around my father when he had Alzheimer's, and my mom was his caregiver for a while. And it's absolutely exhausting and draining. And and with our culture, it's like you're a good person if you do it, you're a bad person if you don't. So there's all this mess around it. But when you're in it, it's just overwhelming. And I think, in my experience, the guilt that can come up is huge. Like, I should be able to handle it better or whatever. So I'm just going to go with what comes to me comes to me to say. So just, change the words as you need to. So karate chop. Even though I am so exhausted, I'm so worn out. I can't do this anymore. And yet I feel like I have to. Or maybe I really have to. I choose to acknowledge my truth right now. Even though I am so exhausted from this, I feel like I've given up my life. I deeply and profoundly accept myself anyway now. Even though this is so hard. It's so hard to take care of them. And I feel so much guilt that I feel this way. I choose to honor my truth right now. Go to the eyebrow. I feel so much guilt. Maybe I even feel shame. This is so, so hard. And I'm running myself ragged. I am paying such a price here. And I'm completely overwhelmed. And I don't see an end in sight. And oh my God, there could be some real guilt that this could end. And I might actually feel grateful. That would be such a bittersweet experience. Because then I might feel free. But then that bully in my brain could load me up with guilt and shame. Because I'm not supposed to feel this way. But what if what can really help me here is to honor my total truth in a safe and healthy way? I don't have to tell this person how I feel about it. But what if I can give myself my truth? Give it a voice. Just how hard this is. And what if, by giving myself a voice about how hard this is, I find relief, especially if I can tap through it. And what if I can also have my do tell and don't tell list? Because there's people I could talk to about this that have no idea what it's like, that just wouldn't get it. And they might tell me, oh, look on the bright side. Oh, it's such a great thing you're doing. But what would get missed is me. And how hard this is on me. And I need that truth for me. Because I live in a culture that loves perfection, that loves for me to be positive, to find the good in a really hard experience. And though that can be a very good thing, what if denying my truth is not good? And it's not good for me. And what if that's the place to begin? By giving myself my full, unadulterated truth. What if I find relief? And what if that starts to change so much for me? And I find ways to get better support for me as I release any guilt and any shame. And take a breath. It's funny, I just remembered this. I took care of my father for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I literally thought I was going to lose my mind. My mother was in rehab. And I was I think I was 28 or 29. I was living in Chicago at the time, and my parents were in St. Louis, where I grew up. And I had the time, so I could go down and watch my father while my mom, it was the hardest thing. It was so hard. I mean, my heart goes out to caregivers. And I remember calling someone because I was just so overcome with this. This is so hard. Like, I would wake up in the middle of the night, and my dad would be standing over me because he had Alzheimer's. And he'd be like, where's your mother? Where's your mother? I remember taking him on a hike to get out, and we were in the woods, and he was so confused. And which I know more now. I mean, I'm 60 now. I know a lot more now than I knew when I was in my late 20s. And it was just, the whole hike was awful, because then it was like, I've got to get him back to the car. That whole experience for 3 weeks, it was just 24/7. I barely got any rest. And I remember at one point, I just had to get out of the house. And I went out for a walk by myself, praying to God that he did not leave the house. I took the keys to the car so that he couldn't do that. I was totally taking a chance. And fortunately, he passed out and was sleeping. So when I got back, he was still asleep. And I just had a meltdown. I had an absolute meltdown. I was just like, this is so, so hard. And I just don't think we're meant to do that. I think that really, realistically, should be left up to the professionals, because the professionals get breaks and they know how to, like, you know, but I still believe caregivers, there's a whole thing. I have a friend who's a nurse, and she was doing a first aid for nurses. Like, how perfect is that? Because I think our culture loves caregivers in a way, and yet we don't take care of them. It's kind of mind-boggling to me. If you think about during the pandemic too, it's like we're not caring for the people that are caring. There's something so messed up about that. But so in our culture, you can just feel like such guilt and shame if it feels hard to do that. But I remember when my sister was coming to relieve me, and she had to stay about a week, and I'd been there 3 weeks. I'm not kidding. I had my car packed. I had the engine running, knowing that she was like going to show up soon. And I was like, okay, here's this, see ya. And I got on the road, and and I remember when I got home, I got a phone call from my one sister, and she goes, this is so hard. And I'm like, it totally is. And she was there, you know, a few hours. And so my heart goes out to anyone who has the care of someone like that. It's, because it was 24/7 for those 3 weeks for me. And it is hard. And I think my belief is to get some relief for yourself is definitely only talk to people that you know will get it, that aren't going to try and give you that are just going to listen to you and let you vent and let you have your truth. They're not going to try and have you. They're not going to be uncomfortable with it and want to make you, oh, it's okay. Don't, you know, you're doing great. You're doing the best you can, which, you know, that's great to say that, but you want to talk to the people that you can really listen and be there for you and be like, God, I bet it's really hard. I bet it's so hard. And then tapping as you can do that and be like, this is so hard, because I just see it all the time. When we deny the truth, it just grows. When we give ourselves the truth, it's like letting the air out of the balloon. We start to chill out and relax. So hope you found this helpful, and I'll post it on YouTube here shortly, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for day 11. Bye for now. Have a great rest of your day, or evening, or morning.